I think I'm live. Am I live? Does everybody see me? I see more of an elephant than me. Okay, I'm here. Can you see and hear me? It is Wednesday, 7 p.m. EST for some of us. I'm so glad I'm here today. While you're telling me that you can see and hear me, I just want to say, I was worried didn't have enough to talk about tonight. And then I was reading all the news and I'm like, oh my God, I hope I have time to talk about all of this tonight. So it's kind of crazy. Before I start, just want to let everybody know who is not participating in this live. If you do want to participate in the live hangout, you do have to go down and click on the Patreon link and go there and join Patreon so you can be here. Otherwise, you get to see this later. And if you come around on Sunday at 3 p.m. EST, most of the time, that's open to the public live. So show up there. And if you're here at all and you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do that. Subscribe, share with your friends, and check my playlist because I have a lot of cases that I've covered already. And I always get the question, oh, are you going to? And I'm like, I already did. so check the playlist and see what interests you and go look at that. Lisa says you can see and hear me. Okay. All right. Wait a minute. Oh, that's okay. Kay's come up with a great question. She said she had this question. My question is, if you don't mind, if you could solve one crime, what crime would it be? And hi, Molly. I thought you weren't going to make it, but you're here. That's great. Let me think about that, Kay, during the show. That's a good one. I'm going to think about that. But before I start, I have something really important I just want to ask all of you. Tremendously important because I want to understand and profile all of you. You know, when I was growing up, we had some really nice niceties in our house. And I realized that my house doesn't seem to have those. So right before the show, I had to go blow my nose. So of course I ran to the bathroom and got the toilet paper because I don't have one of those cute things with the Kleenex, a little puppy dog over on your toilet, with the little Kleenex you pull out. I get toilet paper. And then I realized every time somebody comes over here for dinner, I provide them with these fine napkins instead of the cloth napkins my mother provided, or even, paper napkins. You just do, I don't want you to waste my napkins. So we got 2 napkins here. So I always want to know from the rest of you, do you have fine things in your house or is this your napkin and your Kleenex? Just curious. Okay. That was just something I just realized like 1 minute before the show. Okay, my nose still itches. All right, so I'm waiting for those answers. So I'm gonna pay attention if you're going to answer that question. But while I'm waiting on those really important answers, and if you're coming to the show later, please answer in the comments below. Oh, Christine says, I'm the same as you, Pat. Isn't it sad? I mean, it's a sign of the time. Oh my God, Lisa says the same too. What's happened to us all? We have lost all civility. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on 1 second, folks. I've done something really stupid here. So I forgot to. Hold on. Just a minute. So somebody, oh, crap. Hold on 1 second. For some reason, when I moved my computer over, my laptop over, it unplugged. And so it's saying it's low. Just hold on because my battery's running low. Just talk among yourselves for 1 second while I fix this disaster. What in the world? Oh, here it is. Okay. Hello. I have returned. And I think everything's plugged in now. I hope. Yeah. Pal Molly says, yes, paper towels are fine towels. And we sometimes run out of tissues, but never toilet paper. And I keep telling everybody, ever since coronavirus, and I'm going to make a list of my favorite things. And I talk about my ass hose because when I was in India, they have these hoses that spray water on you instead of having toilet paper. And so I bought one prior to coronavirus. So when all that craziness went on, where you couldn't get any toilet paper, I was like, I'm good. I got an ass hose. Buy it at Amazon. I'm going to make my favorite thing, and I'm going to put the ass hose in there. It's not called an ass hose. It's called, did I just get demonetized for saying ass hose? Yeah, probably. Okay. It's called something else, like a hand bidet. Hand bidet. Oh my God, Kate has paper napkins. Woo. But except for my kids, I never have company. Yeah, I'm kind of like that too. I used to have a lot of company when my kids were growing up. We had so many people over, but my kids are grown and now, yeah, I have occasional company, but they get paper towels. And if they don't like my paper towels, they can take their company someplace else. Oh my goodness. All right. So what do I want to talk about today? Oh, just to mention, this is funny. In my electronic problem here. So I had somebody come along and say, you know, you're really terrible because you can't figure out your electronic problems and you're incompetent and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I really don't care. That's the fun of it all. I just really don't care. What I care about is you guys, because I love being able to impart some of my theoretical knowledge and share things with you, and then also get some of your great feedback and some of your great questions and some of your great answers. So that's all I care about, you guys. So anyway, let me get to the topics of the day. Oh my God, what is this? I have the itchiest nose. I'm not lying. I promise you. Okay. Anyway, isn't that lovely on camera? I get to itch my nose. All right. I want to talk about a whole bunch of things, which are just so crazy stuff. First one, I want to talk about this horrific crime, which I don't think many people are aware of. But this is, I talk about world crimes sometimes and criminality across the globe. And I just want to let you know, and Annie might appreciate this one. You see these camels? Apparently in Saudi Arabia, they're Botoxing these camels so that they can win the beauty contest. I mean, who would think they're Botoxing camels? Camel Botoxing. That is an interesting crime. Annie and I both rode some camels in Mongolia. They were pretty decent camels, and they weren't Botox. They were just nice local camels. But Botox, poor Annie says, poor camels. But they have, better lips and a better forehead. Lisa says, what a world, eh? Well, this is actually a truism that criminality always finds a way into our worlds. Any way you can make a buck, get away with something, get over on somebody. Those are three things that inspire criminality. And most of us who don't want to harm other people or mislead people or lie to people don't think of these things. But when you do, wait a minute, I'm sorry. Annie says, I have to control myself. Annie says, mine had a... those things where they put you on YouTube for laughing and can't stop. This is going to do it. Thank you, Annie. Mine had a limp hump. Mine had a limp hump. Annie, I think that was a Mongolian camel problem, because when I rode Egyptian camels and Indian camels, they didn't have limp humps. But I think I kind of remember they were kind of like they had a lot of furry hair on them, and they're kind of like, so it's actually true. Oh my God. Okay, now you've just ruined me, Annie. What am I going to do? I'm going to laugh through the whole show now. That's going to not be good. Florence, hi. Hi, Florence, welcome. Okay, I'm going to get it back together in a minute. No, I'm not. Okay, if you're coming here watching later, just jump 5 minutes on. You can push that thing over 5 minutes and wait till I got control of myself. Oh my God. Okay, so I shouldn't have brought up the camels. I shouldn't have brought up the camels. I'm gonna get you for this, Annie. I truly. Christine says camel humor has gotten the better of Pat. It has. Oh my God. You had to have been on those camels, because actually Annie is correct. Now Lisa says stop picturing it. I can feel it, Lisa, because we rode those We rode those camels, you know. So, oh my God. Okay, let's go to Jussie Smollett because he's a laughing matter too. Uh, one of the people said he buried himself with his when he went on the stand, and he decided, that's something. I don't know why they put him on the stand. Why would you put Jussie Smollett on the stand? Because his testimony sucked and it made him look really bad. And so I like this comment somebody made. I think he absolutely buried himself to the extent he wasn't already buried. That's pretty much true. I mean, he tried to answer every piece of, there were all these pieces of evidence. So he tried to explain every piece of evidence away. And he did such a shabby job of it. It was like everybody's going, we're not buying it. We're not buying it. We don't believe a thing you're saying. And on top of that, you're talking about doing drugs and having sex with men in bathhouses. Really probably not helping you out, dude, not working. So, oh my God, it was like the worst testimony ever. And I'm only going to say maybe he did it because he thought being an actor, he could act his way out of it. But I don't think he did a very good job. And what did he say? He was like, who did he say he was supposed to be like? He likened himself to, what was it? Okay, I'm just blanking. One of my favorite actors of all time. And he said, I'm like him. And everybody's like, no, you're not. Dang it. I've drawn a blank. It's a favorite actor? I can't remember now. Okay, who's with Katharine Hepburn? Come on, somebody. So-and-so and Katharine Hepburn. Dimple. Somebody help me out here. Dimple. I'm getting no help. I'm getting no help. I'm going to have to. Cary Grant. Thank you, Molly. There. No, it was Cary Grant. No, it was not Sidney Poitier. It was Cary Grant. And I think he said he was like the black Cary Grant. And I'm like, I don't think you're that A, attractive, and B, talented. Somebody else may be the black Cary Grant, but it ain't you, Jussie. So, I mean, he should have just, not testified. Well, anyway, he did, and it amused many people, and hopefully he will get nailed for this because it is absolutely clear in my head that there was never a hate crime. The hate crime was he was the one that committed the hate crime because he was the one that made people tried to make people believe that he was being attacked, and that is a hate crime in itself. And I just hope he gets nailed for that. Okay, so that's him. Now, I want to talk just 1 second about this dude. There was a guy, his name is David Neal Cox, who was just put to death for shooting his estranged wife in Mississippi and sexually abusing her daughter. I thought this was really interesting because it says he made this stunning admission just before execution. Before he was executed, he told his lawyers that he killed his sister-in-law, Felicia Cox, in 2007 and provided details on where her body could be found. And so it was a stunning admission. Now, a lot of people think, oh my God, that's because he felt guilty. He has remorse. And truly, when he was convicted, he also had said, he didn't fight the verdict. He didn't, and filed court papers calling himself worthy of death. So that makes it seem like he's very, very, remorseful. But when you start looking at the story, he killed his sister-in-law, basically abducted her, killed her, buried her body, and no one ever knew what happened to her. And that was 3 years before he shot his wife. He shot his wife, and while she was dying, he called her father so she could talk to her father and say, I'm dying. Well, that's a nice guy. And while that was happening, he sexually assaulted his stepdaughter, who was 12 years old, 3 times. Sounds like a really nice guy, doesn't it? Okay. So then later, right before his final breath, see, I've got to use my toilet paper. My Kleenex again. Oh my God. Right before his final breath, he said, I want my children to know I love them very much and that I was a good man at one time. Good man when? At what point were you a good man? When you were raping your stepdaughter, shooting your wife, kidnapping, probably raping her sister? When were you a good man? I'm going to say you're a lying dog. And this is something that people have difficulty understanding, that sometimes when a psychopath is being put to death or whatever, he will say things and he will admit things, and people think, oh my God, see, there's a human being inside him after all. They don't understand that even then he's manipulating. He probably admitted to killing his sister-in-law and where he buried her body as a ha 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 to the family. It's like, you never knew I did that, did you? Ha ha ha. That was probably really what he was doing. And then his, oh, I was a good man once, is just bull crap. And maybe he wants to think that himself, but it's bull crap. So never believe a psychopath. Never believe them. They're lying and you can't trust them. And so, I find it just frustrating. People go, oh, maybe they've changed. No, they haven't, at least not in this lifetime. So that was an interesting one I saw today. And I'm like, wow. Now, the next one I want to talk about is Ghislaine Maxwell. Ghislaine Maxwell. Okay. I did a whole thing on Ghislaine. I just did that this week it was called Ghislaine Maxwell and the old massage trick, because, there's really no good excuse for her bringing young girls to Jeffrey Epstein to give him a massage when young girls don't know how to give a massage. And they're not giving a massage. They're giving him sex, or he's giving them sex. But either way, there's sex happening. And if Ghislaine Maxwell brought a girl to Jeffrey Epstein, that's what it was for. She's trying to claim that she didn't do such things. And this accuser today said, Ghislaine Maxwell told her she had a great body for Epstein and his friends. She was 14. Now, let's even assume that Ghislaine Maxwell didn't know she was 14. Okay, what was she even doing there? Why was she there at the house? What purpose were these young girls? What was their purpose being at the house? If somebody sends a car and picks them up and brings them over to the house in Florida, even if there wasn't a massage table, even if there wasn't money, which there was, even if none of this happened, why in the world would you have any interest in bringing some other young girl they looked for girls that were not too well off, who would be highly inspired by the money they were giving them. Some people would say trailer park, but that's just an unfortunate term. But essentially, that's what they were doing: finding a girl who was down on her luck with family or living circumstances, and having her come to this rich area, to this rich man's house. Why? What would be the purpose? Oh, I know. Jeffrey Epstein wanted a good conversation with a 16-year-old, a 15-year-old, a 14-year-old, even an 18-year-old. Really? This is a man who hobnobs with all the famous people of the world, with presidents and all kinds of wealthy human beings and people who are leaders in finance and business. But he really wants to talk to an 18-year-old so they can what? What's he going to talk to him about? Oh, yeah, probably something down there. Okay, that's about it. So for her to even bring the girls, regardless of even their supposed ages that she doesn't know, there's absolutely no reason except for providing young girls to Jeffrey Epstein. So she's a pimp. That's what I said in my other video. She's a pimp. That's all there is to it. She's a pimp. And that's it. Now, one good question that was asked, let me see if it was Julie asked this question. Julie asked, she asked, first of all, if he had to be massaged 3 times a day, what was his business? If I was interrupted from work 3 times a day, I'd never get anything done. Well, I kind of commented back that, for women, it takes a lot longer. For men, 5 minutes. Okay. Morning, noon, night. Okay. Where's all my men here tonight to mock me for that? Okay. I don't see you, but anyway, but she also said, how much of his income was related to girls? It seems that that he and Ghislaine spent a lot of time grooming young women. Was it just a hobby, or were they benefiting from it financially? Okay, I can say this. At his death, he had $500 million. And that was probably a low ball on that. He had a lot of properties too. It may be up to $1 billion. You can't make that much money off of pimping a few young teen girls. These aren't even children. So again, people who think this is pedophilia, it's not. There's a fancy word for it, by the way, and I'll tell you what the fancy word is, because somebody told me what the fancy word was. It is, let's see, I can try to pronounce it correctly. It is called ephebophilia. Ephebophilia is what it's called. Ephebophilia, the primary sexual interest in mid to late adolescents, generally ages 15 to 19. Okay, so he would be an ephebophiliac. I don't know what you call them, but basically like teenage girls, fresh young teenage girls, and I guess Ghislaine was past that point. But he's not going to make money off of this. Even if he provided the girls to his rich friends, he doesn't need to make $1,000. Even if he charged them $1,000 or $10,000, it's piddly to him. It's meaningless. So no, he's not making money off of this. What he's doing is enjoying himself, and maybe helping his friends enjoy themselves, because he thinks it's awesome to have these young girls around, and these excited young girls who he's tossing money at and showing them the fine life and all that crap, just like young girls. So no, he's not making money. This is not a pedophilia ring, as many people want to believe it is. It's not even a, I'm gonna do it right. It's not even a, oh wait, now an ephebophilia. Hey, why do people have these difficult names? Ephebophilia ring. It's not that either. He's not running a huge ring of girls. And I think that's one of the unfortunate parts, is that he has done wrong. The guy should, well, he's dead now, however he died. But he did wrong, and he should have been convicted way back when on a much, much longer sentence than, he should have been. And Ghislaine should be convicted. I have no problem with that. But and then there's some other people he might have, when they were hanging out with him, might have been provided some underage fun. They should be convicted. But I do not believe there is this huge, massive sex ring or anything. I think it's just Ghislaine and Jeffrey pulling in young girls and having fun with them. I think that's all it really comes down to. As bad as that is, it's still not a sex ring. So we need to focus on the facts and not, make it something that it isn't. The facts are bad enough. So that I thought was really interesting. So I want to talk about, let's see, who else do I want to talk about? There's a couple other things in the news. Okay, not that one. I've already done that one. I talked a little bit about Delphi this week because there was this news that came out that there was this quote breakthrough, and you can also go check my recent video on that. There is not a breakthrough in the case of Delphi. There was the state police asking for information from the public about a particular guy who, at the time, was catfishing girls on the internet, teen girls, and is not connected necessarily to Delphi. They're not saying at this point he has any connection. He was around at the time doing creepy things, and he did live within like a 40-minute drive, so he could have catfished the girls in the Delphi murders. But that's Abby and Lily. Sorry, did I just say Libby? Sorry, Abby and Libby. But there's no proof of that at this point, at least that we know of. So they're just looking for more information, and everybody's going crazy that this guy killed those two girls, and we do not know that yet. But about this guy, so people have asked me about this creepy dude. That is really interesting. It's just what's fascinating about him is, first of all, he's definitely the kind of guy who would need to catfish girls with some other picture than himself, because he wasn't exactly an overly attractive guy. He was a very, very overweight, not so great looking older guy. And not terribly old, he's in his 20s, but still, to a 15-year-old girl, he's not it. And so he used really hot pictures of a model. And they went for that one. But what's interesting is, and sad to me, very, very sad to me, is that now, of course, he's a liar, so we have to know that some of this is not true. He told investigators he created accounts approximately 6 months ago. That's when they caught him. This is not recent. This is earlier. Keegan stated that he talks to girls he knows personally and girls he doesn't know personally. He stated he meets girls on Instagram. He said he knows the age of the girls he communicates with because he talks to them. Keegan stated that if a girl told him she was 16 or under, he wouldn't care. As a matter of fact, that's better. And would still talk to them. Keegan told investigators he finds girls on Instagram and then tells them to talk to him on Snapchat. Keegan admitted to speaking to approximately 15 girls that were underage and advised he probably received pictures from every one of them. These are nude pictures. So supposedly they sent the girls were 15 to 17 and he received approximately 100 sexual pictures from underage girls. That's what that is being alleged. 12 to 16. Okay, this also says that, let's see here. The girls were 12 to 17 is another thing being said here in the warrant. Posing nude or partially nude or performing sex acts on themselves. Here's my issue. The guy is a sex predator of what? The same thing I said about Jeffrey Epstein. He's not a pedophile. He's a ephebophilia guy. Ephebophilia. If you see, it's right here. Okay, I don't know if I can put it up here. I want to put this up here so you can see what that word is and why I can never pronounce it. Where is it? See it? Ephebophilia. Ephebophilia. I think it's like pedophilia, ephebophilia. Anyway, he likes teenage girls, young, fresh teenage girls. What's really, really upsetting to me, almost as much as the fact that he's a sex predator, is the fact that our teenage girls are sending him pictures of themselves nude or masturbating. I don't know, but maybe I grew up in a really, really different time. But I didn't kiss a boy till I was 16 or 17. It was a quick kiss. I can't imagine having done something like that. What is it in our society that is having children be so sexualized at such a young age? Is it the pornography they're seeing? Is it just the general sexual tone of so many shows these days? Is it the videos they're seeing, the music videos they're seeing that are talking about sex constantly in them in the most graphic ways possible? Is that what's doing it? What is it that girls are getting at this young an age are wanting to show their bodies off and show their sexuality off and involve themselves in a sexual I want to say a sexual relationship with somebody, even if it's on the internet? It doesn't matter. It's still a sexual relationship. What is going on that 12 and 13-year-old girls would do this? Why are parents allowing their children to do this? Why are the parents allowing their children such free range to watch all of this stuff that they're allowing them to watch? Because when my kids were growing up, we had rules. First of all, there were no video games in my house. Secondly, they couldn't turn on the television without my permission. And then it had to be something I approved of. And if I didn't approve of it, they weren't going to turn the television on. And it had to be just occasionally something that was useful, had some worth to it, whether it was family fun or whether it's educational or whether it was a good theater or whatever it was. My kids just didn't get to do whatever they damn well pleased. And then you wonder why, man, my kid's 12 years old and she's already out there, or she's already on the internet showing herself off, or she's already involved in doing porn at the age of 13. What the heck? I mean, so I'm almost more upset with what's happening with our teenage girls and their families than I am with sleazebag himself, because there's always going to be those sleazebags out there. But we as a society are allowing porn to just overwhelm the internet. And the porn that we allow is free. It's free for everybody. It's free, and it's humiliating to women. It's degrading. A lot of times women are allowed themselves to be abused in these videos. And if they're not being abused, they're doing so many sex acts, which are, one would think is something they shouldn't like doing, or with so many people that the men watching them think of women as sluts. Women are sluts. Women deserve to be abused. Women deserve this because they want it. And it's poisoning our population. And I just don't understand why we aren't more upset about that than one freaky dude. I mean, we need to get him off. I mean, they are not off. Did I just say that wrongly? We do not need to get him off. We need to get him off the planet. We need to get him off the internet. We need to get him into prison. We need to get him into prison. So I'm glad they caught this creepy dude, even if he has nothing to do with Delphi, even if he did not catfish those girls and meet with them and kill them, even if it's not him, I'm glad they got him out of circulation. But for God's sakes, in order for him to circulate, we're giving him the ability to circulate. And that's one of my soapboxes. I just went on. Okay. I have issues with that. It just pisses me off because I'm like, why are our children being subjected to this? Why are young girls and some young boys being subjected to this kind of stuff where they're so sexualized at such a young age? When they're not even teens yet, they're already sexualized. It just frustrates me. So anyway, that's that on this creepy dude named Keegan Kline. Glad he's in prison. But we don't quite know exactly, whether what he has anything to do with Delphi. So let's leave it there. I want to talk about this because this was an interesting one. Somebody made I want to see what Kay has to say. Kay says, one of the worst things about porn is it makes women think all those sex acts are expected and normal. I agree with you, Kay. I think it's like once upon a time, there was a thing called making love. And I think that's been thrown out the window for performance. They think they have to perform. And the men and women or whoever thinks that their partner should perform and they should perform acts that they see in sexual and porn videos. And it's so prevalent because I remember back to the days where you could only get porn in that place that was outside of town. You know, that place that said XXX adult on the outside of town. And then you had to put on a raincoat and a hat and you had to sneak in there, and you had to pay $20 to get one like magazine or one video. And now you just go to Pornhub, and you see everything and 5,000 other channels as well. And there it is available to you just 24 hours a day. And it's sad. God, that's a happy thing. And are you trying to mess with me again, Annie? Annie says, FYI, today is hump day. And she's got camel pictures. Okay, I've gotten myself under control. Don't put me back there. Okay, I want to talk about this thing. This just came out. When did this come out? It says, mother of girl 9 found stuffed in a duffel bag in Oregon forest is charged with murder. This woman, she's 29 years old. She was the mother of Haley Mae Coblentz. And her significant other, Lauren Harrison, 34, were charged with aggravated murder. And this little beautiful, pretty little girl was murdered by them and stuffed in a duffel bag and tossed. And obviously they found her now. But I just wanted to point this out because of recently I did a video called "The Boy in the Box," and this little boy was found many, many, many years ago. They're trying to. It's like if the person who killed that little boy were found today, they'd be 90 years old, they're probably dead. But they're doing DNA and they're thinking they might be able to identify who killed this little boy. But the question back in the day, because it was over many, many years ago, was why did nobody notice he was missing? And my point was, well, if he was under school age, maybe he's never been in school for anybody to miss him. And maybe if he was kept in the house, the neighbors didn't even know he existed. Or if he moved around a lot, maybe he was just not known. And they wrote this, I thought, and it was really a good statement. It said this: Oregon State Police Captain Stephanie Bigman of Portland said that 150 tips about the girl's identity didn't crack the case. The fact that the girl wasn't reported missing complicated matters. Now, if you've killed the child, you're not going to report her missing, right? So, and then she said this, which I thought was really interesting. Children don't have a lot of history in the world, Bigman told the station. They don't necessarily have a big stamp. She was not on any database. Nobody knew she was missing. And that's what I was trying to say, that unless you're known in the world, you can just disappear and nobody's going to care. And nobody's going to report you missing. As a matter of fact, it's sad that sometimes when women kill their newborn babies, like, have the baby and then throw it in a trash can or leave it in the toilet, there isn't a big penalty for that. And you know why? Because that child has no history. That child does not have a stamp on the world. That child is not a real person to most people. And it's really sad. I mean, that you could come into this world and nobody really notices you. And then when you're killed, you're still not noticed. And this little girl, she was older, but people didn't know she was missing because, her name wasn't out there. Her face wasn't out there. She wasn't somewhere where somebody went, what happened to so-and-so in the first grade? She comes to school every day and suddenly she's missing. Or neighbors who had spent time, or their children had played with your child, then they would know that child is missing. Or maybe they wouldn't. If you just move away, they think you just moved away. They wouldn't know that you killed the kid and moved away. So that's really, really sad. So Kay says, if it was during COVID, no school for 18 months. There you go. You just say you're homeschooling. And I homeschooled my granddaughter, so if she went missing during that time, maybe nobody'd know. Well, actually, I think my daughter might know, my son-in-law and all the in-laws and our homeschooling group. But hey, but that's very, very true. But it's sad. It's very, very sad that children, it's interesting, when people kill children, they often get a lesser sentence than when they kill an adult. Now, why is that? They kill an adult, they get life. They kill a child, they're lucky if they get 10 years. It's the weirdest damn thing. It's like the child didn't matter as much because the child hasn't been here as long. It's really sad. Anyway, I thought I was really pleased with what she said about the child not making a stamp, because that's a really important factor. Okay, so let's see what else I have for the news for today. Let's see. Oh, Alec Baldwin. The question about Alec Baldwin. Oh, boy. So Christine asked about Alec Baldwin. Oh, and Christine, by the way, isn't this wonderful? Christine sent me this. Isn't this cute? I love it. I absolutely love it, Christine. It's awesome. And now it's going to be right here. I just think that's incredible. I love it. It's so cool. Christine sent something else too. Like, I'll show you what else she sent me too. Oh, this is cool. Okay, see if I can hold it up. Look what it says. It says, Christmas profiling with Pat Brown. Isn't that cute? I just love it. I just love it. Absolutely. I'm trying to get back to the chair. Can't get back in here. Totally love it. Thank you, Christine. That was just like, I went down and picked up my mail and I had these 2 cute presents in it. It was just awesome. Christine is still here. If you're not here, Christine, I hope you come and watch this later. Are you here? I don't know where she is. I don't know where she is. She's gone missing, but she'll watch the whole video. So anyway, thank you, Christine. You really, really made my day. It was a really, really kind of depressing day here. And really, oh, there's Christine. Doesn't it look good? I absolutely love it. So cool. Let's see, where do I want to put it? Let's see, right here. Yeah, that looks good. I absolutely love it. It's so fantastic. Thank you so much. I mean, so you made my day. And it was rainy and cold and you could hear, and I'm like, but I opened up my presents. Thank you so much. That was awesome. And then you asked me about Alec Baldwin. I want to point out Alec Baldwin, the question of did he pull the trigger issue. So Alec Baldwin, I don't know if somebody actually doesn't know what happened here, but he was filming a movie called Rust. And in the movie, he's supposed to grab this weapon and he's got, and that's part of the movie. However, when he grabbed this weapon, he shot, I guess the videographer or whoever's behind the camera, a woman named, a cinematographer, they call her. Her name was Helena Hutchins. He shot actually 2 people. Now here's what the point is. Several major questions remain unanswered, including how a live bullet wound up in the antique Colt .45 revolver that discharged in Baldwin's hand, killing the film's cinematographer Hutchins and wounding its director Joel Souza. Baldwin's emotional interview cast fresh light on the tragic incident. Well, now, this is where it gets interesting. First of all, I imagine, I do not believe for a minute that Alec Baldwin wanted to kill his cinematographer. So this was clearly not a premeditated murder. This would be manslaughter. This would be that anybody who handles a weapon is responsible for the weapon in their hand. You learn this. This is like in your first class 101 for how to handle a weapon. You should, if you're going to handle a weapon, you should be taking a class on how to handle a weapon. You should be going to the NRA classes on, owning a firearm and how to manage a firearm. And the one thing you don't do if you're handling a firearm is assume anything. So when I pick up a firearm, first of all, I never point it at anybody because unless I want to kill them, if somebody's coming in breaking down my door, then I point it at them because that is the person I want to kill. If I don't know who's coming through the door, because it could be one of my relatives, I won't be killing them. I don't point it unless I know who I'm pointing it at or what is happening. And the next thing you don't do when you hold a weapon, you keep your finger on the side. You don't put it on the trigger. You keep it on the side. That's so you don't accidentally pull the trigger. You get panicked and you go like this. You don't do that. You keep it over here until you want to pull the trigger, and then you do that. Okay, so depending on your firearm, now firearms are very different. You got safeties on firearms and other things you have to do. Like you might pull the safety off and then you shoot. There's things you have to do. Okay. But regardless, that firearm, if you touch a firearm, from the moment you touch the firearm, it is your 100% responsibility. You don't have any right to blame it on anything that came before that. I'm sorry, you just don't. Now, admittedly, somebody could have snuck in and put live ammo in that weapon that you thought was not live. They could hand it to you and say, it's not live. It's a cold weapon. And you buy that. And you aim it at somebody and pull the trigger. It's still your fault. I don't care what that person told you. I don't care if you paid them to tell you whatever they told you. I don't care if you paid them to take care of the weaponry. You're handling a weapon. You don't have the right to blame anything happening before your little hands and go on it. That's basic. That's basic. Okay, because it's a weapon. It's not a tool. It's not a toy. It's not a tool. It's a weapon. Okay, so at the time that this happened, he got hold of this weapon, aimed it at the cinematographer in her direction. I'm not saying he aimed it at her, but in her direction, and the gun, quote, went off. Now, at the time this happened, he never really made a very coherent statement about what happened. But after many weeks have passed, and he's spent time with his lawyers, this is why you always have to be careful of what they say many weeks later. Because you sit with your lawyers and the lawyer tells you what you should and should not say. And they will tell you what story you should give, whether it be the truth or not. It's a story you should give because they're your lawyers. And you have two choices. You either tell the truth or you don't. Sometimes you are telling what the story is the truth. Sometimes the story is not the truth. And I don't know which one it is with Alec Baldwin, but it's interesting that what he's saying now is a little bit concerning that he didn't say that right up front. And what did he say? All right. So he says, first of all, he's an emotional interview. Well, he should be emotional in the sense that he killed someone. Whether he intended to kill someone, he killed someone. And he took a life. And it was, quite frankly, his fault. And he should be blown away by that. He should be. But then again, he's an actor. So he also knows how to show emotion if he doesn't even feel it. He knows how to show more emotion. Even if he does feel it, he knows how to express it in such a way to get people, hopefully, to believe him. Jussie Smollett, not so much. But perhaps, Baldwin is better. All right. So what does it say? All right. There are 5 things they said in this interview, which is really interesting. Baldwin says he didn't pull the trigger. Baldwin told Stephanopoulos in this interview that he never pulled the trigger of the prop gun, but rather cocked it. He said when he released the hammer, it unexpectedly discharged a live bullet. Now, all right. Could he be telling the truth? And the answer is, honestly, I don't know this particular weapon. I don't know this gun. There are some old guns, which is true, that if you cock the gun and then the hammer, you accidentally let go of the hammer and it slams back, it can discharge. This could be true. But here's the thing again. If you're handling a weapon, you have to know what weapon you're handling. You have to know 2 things. Do you have to pull the trigger to have the gun go off? Or if you pull back the hammer and let go, will the gun go off? That's your responsibility. Sorry, Alec, still your responsibility because you're handling a weapon. It's a weapon. It's not a toy. It's not fake. It's a weapon. So that's your problem. Secondly, it said unexpectedly discharged a live bullet. Okay, well, now we have 2 problems. First, a live bullet was in the gun. Again, you're handling the gun. You should be checking that gun out before you should be looking at that gun, finding out what's in there. You should know. Also, you hired all these people. So if you hired idiots, again, it's on you. And then you did something that caused the gun to discharge. The gun does not do it by itself. You see, it doesn't work that way. The gun didn't go off. You made the gun go off. So I'm not going with you on that. Okay, then he says this. During a marking rehearsal for a complicated shooting scene, Baldwin said Hutchins was directing him on what angle to position the gun to capture the best shot. Hutchins was directing his every move. He said, everything is at her direction. She's guiding me through how she wants me to hold the gun for this angle, Baldwin said. I'm holding the gun where she told me to hold it, which ended up being aimed right below her armpit. So now he's blaming her. Okay. And I get the point that, if you're shooting a film and what you want is the gun to be right in the camera, so it's real, and you can see the gun right there. I get there's a point to that. However, she is directing the photography. She's not directing you to shoot her. She's not directing you to handle a live gun. She's not directing you to do things that will set the gun off. She believed that you, Alec Baldwin, were handling a gun that would not hurt her, or she would never have told you to point it in her direction. So do not blame her for that. I just can't believe he's saying that. It's like, really? You're not going to take responsibility? It's her fault. Really? No, you're still responsible. All right. So I take the gun and I start to cock the gun. I'm not going to pull the trigger, he continued. And I cock the gun. I go, can you see that? Can you see that? Can you see that? And then I let go of the hammer of the gun and the gun goes off. I let go of the hammer of the gun and the gun goes off. The gun went off. You see, I didn't cause the gun to go off. The gun went off. So you never pulled the trigger, Stephanopoulos asked. No, Baldwin said. I would never point a gun at anyone. Yes, you did. You just pointed a gun at someone and pull a trigger at them. Oh, really? First of all, we don't actually know that you didn't pull the trigger. We actually don't know that because I'm not sure of that. Unless there's somebody to say you didn't pull the trigger. I don't even know that. Never. That was a training I had. Dude, if you had training that told you to point a gun at somebody and pull a hammer back and not know if there's a live round on there, you didn't have any training that was worth a damn thing. You're still responsible. Okay, then a lawsuit filed said that as a defendant, he was playing Russian roulette with the gun pointing it at Hutchins. So Stephanopoulos says, there are some who say you're never supposed to point a gun at anyone on a set, no matter what. And then Baldwin says, unless the person is the cinematographer who's directing me at where to point the gun for her camera angle. Baldwin replied, I didn't point the gun at her. And she said, hey, man, don't point the gun at me. I pointed the gun in the direction she wanted. I don't want to slap him right about now. All right, here's the next thing that really bugs me. Baldwin says he doesn't feel guilt. Really? Do you feel guilt? Stephanopoulos asked. No, Baldwin said. I feel that someone is responsible for what happened, and I can't say who that is, but I know it's not me. Really? You don't feel guilt when you didn't? I'm almost speechless. Pat Brown is almost never speechless. Oh, what is it? I should feel okay. Baldwin says he has succumbed to the emotional toll of what happened and the fact that Hutchins has lost her life. He said he is struggling to get through each day and reliving the incident at night. I have dreams about this constantly now, he said. I go through my day and I make it through the day and then I collapse at the end of the day. Emotionally, I collapse. What about her family? What about Hutchins, who's dead? What about her family who has to suffer every single day? Oh, I feel so damn sorry for you. Oh, my God almighty. Okay. As the I didn't even read this part yet because I think I got stuck there because I was so appalled. And then, of course, the son doesn't have a mother anymore. Oh, yes, that's correct. You killed his mother. Okay. As investigation marches on, Baldwin downplays the risk of facing criminal charges. Well, he's downplaying everything at this point because his lawyers are telling him to. So he says he won't face criminal charges for the tragedy. I've been told by people. Oh, my God. I've been told by people who are in the know, in terms of even inside the state, that it's highly unlikely to be charged with anything criminally. Was his lawyers telling him that? Oh, my God. You know, Christine, I really wasn't going to go in depth on this, but now that I had to, that you asked me to bring it up, holy crap. What? Okay, I'm going to stop there because truly, I find it incredibly upsetting. Wow. Wow, just wow. Just wow. All right. All right. Calm myself down here. All righty. Oh, look, while I'm going to go to the question of the day. Christine says my hair is standing up. I tell you. Yeah. I mean, it's atrocious. It's absolutely atrocious. So I'm going to go to the question of the day in a minute. But while I don't know if I want to say this is happy thing to talk about. Wait a minute. What happened to my thing? Oh, wait a minute. Where'd it go? Oh, okay. This was a Dear Abby thing, and I just thought it was kind of amusing. So I want to be amused at the moment in a very, maybe not such a great way, but I want to be amused. I want you to be sort of amused, but I found these two questions that were asked by Dear Abby interesting. Dear Abby, I am a 44-year-old woman who has been married for 3 years. We all have a past. Unfortunately, I made mistakes in mine that I foolishly mentioned to my husband when he asked. Stupid. He is someone who doesn't let things go easily. Well, maybe you shouldn't have married a dude who won't let things go easily. That's your first clue. I had a threesome in my early 20s. Okay, so we're talking about 20 years ago. 20 years ago. She had a threesome, which I didn't think was a big deal because I was young and experimenting with my sexuality. He's now insisting on my having one with him. He thinks I cheated on him because when we met 9 years ago, I was still friends with the people involved. I love him, and I feel like he wants me to have his cake and eat it too. What should I do? Okay. Dear Cornered, if you're against the idea, you should refuse. Well, I'm going to say more than that. The fact that the way he's presenting it to you, that guy's a creep. And then Abby says, and if you persist with his wacky idea, the only threesome you should agree to would involve the two of you and a licensed marriage counselor, which I thought was pretty funny. I said, absolutely. But, you know, he's a creepy dude. He's not a nice human being. He's controlling. He's trying to force you into something you don't want to do. He's holding something over your head from 20 years ago. You know, this is a relationship you shouldn't even be in. Get out of there. Get out of there now because it's just going to get worse. But I thought I did like her answer about the threesome being the two of them and a marriage counselor. That amused me. All right. Here's one other one that came into the same Dear Abby one. Dear Abby, I'm an inmate at a women's prison. My fiance and I have been together for 4 years and have 4 little ones under the age of 4. Really? two. Okay. All right. One a year. One a year. You've only been with him. Oh, she's not even married to the dude. Her fiance. So they had 4 kids in 4 years and not even married. And they are with him. Well, that's because you're an inmate at the women's prison. All right. I'm getting mad at him for not writing often or sending photos. I realize he's busy taking care of the babies. No shit. But am I being selfish to think he should make time for me? Well, maybe you were selfish to have 4 babies in 4 years with a man you weren't married to, and then commit a crime that would take you away from the 4 children and make him watch them. Maybe that's your problem. And I did not like Dear Abby's answer. Dear Abby said, Dear Mom, I'm glad you asked. I'm hoping this is a fake letter, but she apparently answered it. So I am glad you asked. I am also glad you recognize the fact that your fiance has his hands full, working to support his family while taking care of the little ones. Because you have more time on your hands than he does. No, he's got, I wonder how many years she has on her hands. Because, if she has 4 kids and she's in prison, did she say she's in prison? She's not in jail. Jail is under a year. Prison is way over a year. A judge who sends a mother of 4 tiny children to prison, you did something really bad. I'm going to say those kids are going to be grown before you get out. Because you have more time in your hands than he does, spend some of it writing to him and the children. Tell them how much you love and miss them. No. 4 children and the fiance, the woman's a psychopath. Like, just don't have anything to do with her, is what I said. Tell them how much you love and miss them. Oh, yeah, she loved them so much, she committed a crime and dumped them. Okay. Describe your daily activities. That'll be fun. And your hopes for them. If you do, it may make your bond with them stronger and bring them closer to you until you are released. Oh, dear Abby, you're so dear. Boy, are you dear. Oh, because that woman is something. Those poor children. That's all I can say. Those poor children. I hope they have great grandparents and a good father. But the good father was with that woman. So I'm going to say it'll be lucky if he doesn't end up in prison soon. And the 4 little children will end up in foster care. So how sad will that be? So, all right. So now to the question of the day. Yeah, got time for the question of the day. All right. The question of the day was about what kind of method of murder have you heard of that's really, really strange and unusual? Because I always point out to people, there's only so many ways to murder people in general. I mean, bludgeoning, stabbing, shooting, strangling. Both of those are basically the 4 ways most of the time. This is one of the problems with serial homicide and the system, the VICAP system that the FBI put together, because VICAP is supposed to help you when you have a violent crime, especially the rape and murder of a woman, for example, or a child or a man or whatever, that you then put in the details of the crime and how they committed the crime. And you're able then to link crimes together. And my point always is, there's only so many ways to kill a person. So you get 10 women who've been strangled. It doesn't mean you have one serial killer. It just means you might have 10 different guys strangling women because it's the way you like to do it. What is Florence says the speckled band. What's the speckled band, Florence? Can you tell me? I have no clue what that means, a speckled band. Tell me while I'm explaining this. So this for sexual homicide is usually strangling, occasionally stabbing, and occasionally bludgeoning, rarely a shot, but that happens. But it's usually because they're already in the midst of raping, they're kind of like strangling a lot. So it really is hard to match crimes that way. And sometimes a serial killer will bludgeon one time and then strangle the next and then stab the next. And it's not 3 different guys. It's actually one guy using 3 methods. But once in a while, there are some really strange methods, not usually by serial killers, just weird things that people do. And so I was asking, hey, have you heard of any weird ways that people have murdered somebody? And there are a few that are kind of unique. Now, if you look up, I looked up this. I looked up weird, where is it? The most unusual murder weapons ever used. I looked that up. But you see, when I looked it up, banjo, Well, banjo is bludgeoning. That's just picking up. When you're bludgeoning, you just pick up whatever's available. Let's see what I got around here. Oh, I got this. This is a good one. See this? I got this in Africa, in West Africa. This is made of brass. I can bludgeon the heck out of somebody with this sucker. So this isn't necessarily unusual. It's just available. It's still just a bludgeoning tool. So what happened to my thing? I just had weird ways. Where'd it go? It just went away. Sorry. Hold on a second. I just love things when they disappear on me. Oh, wait a minute. Kay says, I would not be happy to have my partner not keep in touch. Who knows why she's in jail? I would worry he's an abuser. You're being really nice. I'm going to still say that she's probably, the way she's talking, that she's in prison. That's something, that's not a minor crime. She's done something really bad. And that she had 4 little children to take care of, and she did something bad anyway to leave, then ended up deserting her children. He could be an abuser. That's true. But she could be an abuser. There's no reason why women can't be abusers, And the fact that she's the one in prison just makes me question. I'm going to talk. Oh, okay, Florence. I'm going to talk about this in just a second. This is a good one. I'm going to keep my eye on that one because I'm going to talk about something very similar to that. So I'm going to hold on one second. Okay. I just want to talk about the bludgeoning thing. So when they say, here it is. I found it again. Okay. The most unusual weapons, a banjo, pumpernickel bread. I think that has to be a very heavy loaf of pumpernickel bread. That's what I'm going to say. Solid one. A jump rope. Well, that's not a bludgeoning tool. That's a strangling tool. But again, that's not unusual in the sense that people grab curtain pulls. They'll use anything for a strangling method. Toilet lid. That's a bludgeoning tool. You put somebody's head in it. You do that. Sweatpants. That's a strangulation thing. A crucifix. Well, if it's a big, heavy wooden crucifix, that works. Guitar string. That's like a garrote. This one was kind of interesting. A dessert spoon. I don't know how the hell you kill somebody with a dessert spoon because that's really, it said the spoon's impact. This happened in Richard Clare, a heroin addict from England, slayed his family friend by hitting him on the back of the head with a dessert spoon after a dispute involving a cell phone. Well, when he hit him on the back with the spoon, it ruptured an artery and caused fatal bleeding between his skull and brain. I'm going to say he didn't expect the spoon to kill him. That's kind of weird. Sock you can choke people with a sock. Frying pan. Oh, hey, that's an old one, the old iron frying pan. I remember a woman who once said, well, my husband was abusive toward me once, and I picked up the frying pan and hit him. Been great for 40 years after that. So fireplace poker, gym equipment. Well, those are useful. All kinds of gym equipment can smash people in. A belt, again, you can beat, you can strangle with a belt. Scissors are stabbing things. Dumbbells, again, more equipment. So these are really, to me, not that unusual. One of the more unusual ones was breasts. I thought that one was good. Breasts, because apparently some woman smothered her boyfriend with her huge breasts, and he was trying to get out from under them. And he was like, got his hands up here and was like ripping her hair out, but she still smothered him to death with her breasts. Now that's kind of unusual. Florence says icicle. The icicle one it's part of a, there's a one of these, how did it happen things. A guy's been found murdered in a room and there's no weapon there and there's only water on the floor. And then the answer is somebody stabbed him with an icicle. So, the icicle one, I don't know if anybody actually has used that in real life. I'll have to look that up, but an icicle would be an unusual one. But the methodologies of, there was another one. Okay. Christine had one. Okay, wait a minute. Where's the one I wanted for Christine? Christine had come up with, there were a whole bunch of weird things, but they weren't, this is the one I wanted to talk about. The crimes were horrible, but it's how they killed, which I was looking at. This one was the death of Candace Newmaker. This is a horrifying thing. In 2000, adopted 10-year-old Candace was taken to intensive therapy to help cope with being apart from her biological parents. Was she adopted or she foster care? Let me find her, because she was a kid who showed attachment disorder. And I talk about this, that attachment disorder is when a lot of times when a kid doesn't attach to the parents. Sometimes this happens in adoption. Thank God, not always. But it can happen, especially if the child has had a miserable time before they got adopted. She went to what happened to her was she was born at a young age. She and her brother were removed from the home for neglect. So they had a bad home life with a biological parent. And when she was 5, her parents' parental rights were terminated. So 2 years later, she was adopted by Jean Newmaker, a single woman, and who was strangely a pediatric nurse. Go figure this one out. This gets weirder and weirder. Within months of the adoption, Jean began taking Candace to a psychiatrist, complaining about her behavior and attitude at home. Though Candace was treated with medications, that's concerning right there. Jean reported that Candace's behavior got worse during the ensuing 2 years. She apparently was playing with matches and killing goldfish. So she was showing what could be signs of a serial killer, bedwetting, killing animals, setting fires, that triad thing. So the adoptive mother was saying that the kid was a psycho, basically a psychopath, which is possible that she had an attachment disorder, and therefore she was psychopathic, and the adoptive mother was now freaked out because the kid's scary. Okay, I get that. But then she gets just thinking, it's so weird. Anyway, she takes this child for a 7,002-week intensive session of attachment therapy with this person called Connell Watkins, who didn't have a license, upon a referral from some licensed psychologist. Candace died during the second week of the intensive sessions with Watkins, which has been called a rebirthing session. Participating in the fatal session as therapists were in the session it was Watkins, the main person, and Julie Ponder, who also didn't have a license, and Candace's therapeutic foster parents. Therapeutic foster parents? I don't know what the hell those are. And there were two other people, and then the adopted mother, Jean. Okay, this is what happened. So that day, Candace was wrapped in a flannel sheet and covered with pillows to simulate a womb or birth canal, and was told to fight her way out of it. Okay. With the apparent expectation that the experience would help her attach to her adoptive mother. I hate to tell you this. Whoever thought of this ridiculousness? It isn't coming out of the birth canal and seeing a mother there that's going to change your life. It's the fact that you suffered for the time you were there after you got born and things went downhill. That's what the issue really is. It's the fact that your birth mother or whomever took care of you, if you were in an orphanage, didn't pay any attention to you and treated you badly. It wasn't anything to do with how you got out of the womb. Who the heck are these nutcases? So anyway, the experience is supposed to help her attach to her adoptive mother. 4 of the adults, weighing a combination total of 673 pounds, used their hands and feet to push on Candace's head, chest, and 70-pound body to resist her attempts to free herself. So in other words, since when you're going down the birth canal, your head is supposed to have to push and you're supposed to struggle. Well, we do not know whether the baby's having a bad time of it here. We don't know that. I mean, the baby's got an umbilical cord, it's breathing. It's, unless something goes wrong, it is not supposed to be that the baby is really having a bad time in the birth canal. But of course, they want to say the child should suffer into the world, I guess. They resisted her attempts to free herself while she complained, pleaded, and even screamed for help and air, unable to escape from the sheet. Candace stated 11 times during the session, and this was recorded, that she was dying, to which Ponder responded, "Go ahead, die right now, for real, for real." 20 minutes into the session, Candace had vomited and excreted inside the sheet. She was nonetheless kept restrained within. 40 minutes into the session, Candace was asked if she wanted to be reborn. She faintly responded no, because who the heck wants to be reborn to this horrible group of people who are probably worse than the people that had her to begin with? This would ultimately be her last word. To this, Ponder replied, "Quitter, quitter, 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 quit, 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 quit. She's a quitter." Jean Newmaker, who said she later felt rejected, later said she felt rejected by Candace's inability to be reborn. Okay, that woman's got issues too. I'm going to say every single person here had personality disorder, including her adoptive mother. Oh, good God. And she was asked by Watkins to leave the room in order for Candace not to pick up on her sorrow. Ah, Lord. And so eventually only Ponder was left in the room with Candace. And after, let's see, okay, two of them were left in the room. After talking for 5 minutes, the two unwrapped Candace and found that she was motionless, blue on the fingertips and lips, and not breathing. And they called 911 at that point, and she was dead. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And this was not a premeditated homicide. So I can't say the murder weapon in this case was a premeditated murder weapon, but just unbelievable that, I mean, this child got murdered by a completely ludicrous, fake, nonsensical, I can't say enough bad things about this phony rebirthing session. You know, part of your life, your birth, which none of us remember, quite frankly, and probably it doesn't make any damn difference how we were born. You know, it's really what happens after birth that makes a difference. So, you know, whatever we experience after birth, that we do have to deal with that, and then eventually, hopefully, we get good people in our lives to help us through it if we haven't been too damaged by then. But certainly, you don't go back and torture people, especially children, torture them to then have them supposedly start over as an infant and come into, after that torturous session, you come into the arms of your adoptive mother, feeling like she's, quote, your real mother now because you birthed into her arms. Well, I'm sorry, but if that's what happened, you just birthed into a psychopath's arms. So that's creepy as hell. That is one of the worst things I've ever heard. That's just disturbing. Okay, so to my last thing of the day, and this has to do with what Florence said. Florence talked about a Sherlock Holmes story. This isn't real, but I'm going to give you a real one because this is what's cool. All right, so an old rich guy's children wanted their inheritance, so they sent a poisonous asp, as in snake, down the rope by his bed, which he pulled to call for help. Yeah, it's that. Okay, so that's actually happened in real life. And I'm actually going to do an entire show on this because this is an amazing case about a woman who was murdered by her husband by snake bite. But the police work on this case is phenomenal. So I just can't do it in this show. So I'm going to just tell you a little bit about it. And I'm going to do an entire show on the police work, because anybody knows me, knows my books. The Murder of Cleopatra. I did a discovery documentary and I wrote a book on the murder of Cleopatra. She did not die by asp. And one of the ways I was able to prove she didn't die by a cobra was the all kinds of issues surrounding how cobras bite, what their poison does, what the behaviors are, the location it was supposedly done in. I had all these different reasons for why it was not a cobra that killed her, that she was actually murdered and not by a snake. But this woman was murdered by a snake, but not in the way that the husband claimed she was murdered. I'll just give you a little bit of this, and I won't go into the whole thing because, again, I'm going to do a whole show on this. This girl's name was Uthra, and she lived in Kerala. That's in South India. Kerala. Sorry, I said it wrong. Kerala. Uthra lived in Kerala in South India, which has some cobras around, so that's useful. We don't have them here, so, you know, in the U.S., so cobras are useful. Murder weapons. Okay. Uthra's mother found her daughter lying motionless in bed at the family home, her left arm dotted with blood. And they rushed her to the hospital, but the 25-year-old was already dead. All right. They confirmed with a postmortem she had been bitten hours earlier by a highly venomous Indian spectacled cobra. In India, where snake bites are not uncommon, this could have been the end of it. But the family grew suspicious and filed a complaint with the police. All right. Now, it wasn't they eventually found that her death was caused by a cobra, but the real killer was her husband. Now, Here's the funny part. It wasn't the first time he used a snake as a weapon. And this is this poor woman who was murdered by her husband. Okay, so he married her in 2018, but by 2019 he was plotting her death. So they married in 2018, and the family said, we wanted to find someone who would make her happy. She was a girl who was a little different. She had a learning disability. We wanted a man who could take care of her. And her husband, Kumar, was a 27-year-old bank clerk. He didn't have a lot of money. So and when he married her, he got some dowry money, right? He got some dowry. He got some gold and a Suzuki sedan and a bunch of about $6,000 in cash. So he got a little something. But the first few months of married life seemed uneventful. And then they had a son. But then Kumar's parents wanted some more money. And I guess they just didn't want to pay for everything. So then he got annoyed. So he got dissatisfied also with her learning disability. So he began to plot her death. So there was the first murder attempt. He'd started developing this obsession with snakes. And he spent hours on the internet watching YouTube videos, including episodes of Snake Master featuring the snake expert Vavu Suresh. This is a snake master with the cobras. And I tried to watch it. Unfortunately, it's in Tamil. And so I can't understand what he's saying, and there's no subtitles. So I don't speak Tamil. But he's really famous for this. And now, so anyway, he decides to buy a viper from a snake handler, a different guy, for $135. And the next day, he left the snake on the staircase of his house and asked Uthra to fetch his phone from the first floor bedroom, hoping that it would bite and kill her. Okay, so, but he failed in that attempt. Didn't work real well. So he got the snake back, put it in a plastic bag, and then he tried again. He mixed sedatives into a sweet bowl of Indian rice pudding before Uthra fell fast asleep. As she slept, he forced the viper to bite her before throwing the serpent out of the house to destroy the evidence. Uthra woke up screaming in excruciating pain. And with some delay, she was taken to the hospital. And then he claimed that she had been bitten outside. But she said, no, I wasn't out there. I wasn't washing my clothes outside. That's not true. So anyway, the next day after she survived, he was back on his phone researching snakes. But this time he searched for cobra. So she spent 52 days in the hospital, and then she was released. And she was unable to walk. As she lay in her bed with her leg bandaged with skin grafts, he decided to strike again. So after 15 days after she come out of the hospital, he smuggled another snake and he bought from another snake, the same snake handler. And this time it was a cobra. Before going to bed, he gave her a glass of juice laced with sedatives, according to the judgment. As she slept, he threw the serpent at her, but the reptile didn't bite. So he grabbed its head and forced his fangs into her left arm twice. Despite his efforts to make it look like an accident, there were a number of clues that said the bites weren't natural. The widths of the fang marks, the position of the bites, and the impossibility of the cobra getting into the room. And there's all kinds of other reasons. And I'm going to do a whole show on all those reasons and how the police figured this whole thing out. So at any rate, she died. And he was killed her by snake. So I have to say that's a fairly unusual methodology. But not Cleopatra. Cleopatra did not get killed by a snake. That was an outright lie. She was most likely strangled. And no evidence of a snake bite whatsoever. So if you want to know about that, read my book. It's linked below. And also see the documentary. You can just put in, Mystery Files, Cleopatra Mystery Files, Pat Brown, and you'll have the Discovery documentary on that, which I did. Annie Haley says, poor snakes. Yeah, they get a bad rap, don't they? They get a really bad rap. They didn't do it on purpose. They didn't even do it to Cleopatra. And they did do it to this girl, but only because they were forced into doing it. So, the snake didn't mean to do it. So, yeah, it's absolutely, people can find methodologies that are really interesting to kill people that aren't the usual ones. But, I mean, I would say 99% of things are pretty normal. I mean, people don't come up with that many clever things, but every once in a while, there's somebody like that who says, I want it to be something that nobody's going to question. And since there are snakes around here, why would they question if a snake, bit my wife and she died from the poison? Why would they question that? But here's the problem, and that's what I'm going to do the whole show on, is that when you try to fake something, oftentimes you have no clue how to fake it properly because you've never done it before and you don't understand how it even happens. That was what I said with Cleopatra. I mean, I'm like, the way you're saying that the snake acted, the way the cobra acted, in that particular case of Cleopatra, the cobra supposedly bit 3 women and all 3 women died. And right there was something wrong with that because, first of all, cobra usually doesn't bite more than once. I mean, does that and he gets out of town. And other times, if he does that, it's just dry bites. So for a cobra to kill 3 women in a row in a short period of time is not happening. But the person who made up the story did not know that. And apparently 2,000 years of historians repeating the stupid story didn't seem to know that either. So when I finally investigated it and started researching cobras and architecture and everything else, I proved that the snake couldn't have killed her, and that has now been pulled out of history. If you read the history of Cleopatra now, the snake is gone. The snake is gone. So that snake has been vindicated. The snake did not kill Cleopatra. Poor cobra. So anyway, I think I've covered like all the things I had concepts to cover today. I mean, there was so much news this week. It was kind of like, wow, I had no idea there was so much. And by the way, Florence, I'm a big Sherlock Holmes fan. That is one of the things that got me interested in puzzles, essentially. I was very interested in how to solve not just crimes, but just how to figure things out. And I was a Sherlock Holmes fan, and I started reading Sherlock Holmes when I was 12. And I just wish I'd known when I was younger that, this being a detective might be the way to go, but I had no idea. And then I went and did many other things, and I didn't become a criminal profiler till my 40s. But I did love Sherlock Holmes. And I find it sad today that so few, when we talk about crime and when we talk about solving cases, we get Criminal Minds, which is pure garbage. And we're not seeing how cleverly you can solve a case. Now, admittedly, Sherlock Holmes is more brilliant than I will ever be. And of course, that most of the time crimes don't actually happen that way. And you don't have that kind of evidence that you do in a fictional story. It's kind of exaggerated. Death in Paradise, one of my favorite crime shows, because I just love the Caribbean and I love the camaraderie, and the crime is always ridiculous. But at least they're not focusing on the goriness, and they're not making up a whole bunch of FBI stupidity where they're chasing serial killers down and the serial killer's trying to kill the profile and all that nonsense. None of that's happening. They just looking at all the little pieces of evidence and trying to put it together. Now, it wouldn't actually happen that way. And quite frankly, most of the time they wouldn't be able to arrest anybody with the circumstantial evidence they come up with. But it's still, I like the thought process. And I also like Psych for that, and also The Mentalist for the same reasons, because they're using at least thinking of how things play out, like Sherlock Holmes. So even though it's all quite ridiculous and things aren't really that, don't really go that way, at least it's a thinking kind of puzzle. Agatha Christie used to be a thinking kind of puzzle too. I just object to gory stuff that is just all kinds of, there isn't really any, analysis of the evidence. It's just a bunch of, scary stuff, scary and gory stuff. Don't really like that stuff. So anyway, but all right. So I think that is all I have to say this evening. Let's see if any of you said anything else I missed during here. What a Molly. Oh, Annie Haley said after the icicle, that's a cool way to die. Yay. That it would be. Oh my goodness. Well, I hope I'm going to do, let me tell you what I'm going to do the show on. Annie says, thanks, Pat. And she puts camels all over there. Camels. Okay. That really did set me off. And I did really have to work to control myself on that, because lip hump. That was really funny. Limp hump. Okay, so what I'm going to do the show on, let me be sure. Let's see if I can find the name. Okay, I've lost the name of the thing I was doing. Oh, hold on a second. I just want to get the names correct. I get my library, and then I get, okay. I am going to do the show on Sunday on the 2 missing girls They were from. They were visiting from. They were Chris Cream. I don't know if I got the names pronounced right yet. I'll get it by Sunday. Chris Kremers and Lisanne Froon. I believe they were from. They were Dutch girls. They were down in Costa Rica. I'm sorry. They were in Costa Rica. They went down to Panama. Might have been a mistake. Anyway, they went to Panama, and they were there, these happy girls, and they were traveling together, and they were going to study Spanish and do some volunteer work and hiking. And they, on the day they supposedly went on a hike, they disappeared, and parts of their bodies were found many, I think, months later. So very tragic incident that happened. So that's going to be what I'm going to be talking about on Sunday, is what happened to these two girls in Panama. And also I'm going to share some of my experiences of traveling with that, because I want people to understand what happens when young girls go places. What are the dangers? What are the dangers they're making that they're not wise enough to avoid? And what maybe bad decisions are they making that get themselves into predicaments and make them possible victims, or something else. So I don't want to get into the show yet, but that's what I'm going to do on Sunday. I'm looking forward to it. So Lisa says, thanks, Pat. Love being here, just listening and having an occasional laugh. Well, I enjoyed laughing too. Please set me off. Christine says, can you profile the camels, the ones without Botox? Yeah. Okay. You have to have ridden enough camels in life to appreciate camel humor, or eaten a couple. Yeah, I did eat. Just so I can end the show saying this. So my daughter and I, well, I'm basically most of the time vegetarian, but and Annie will say, but you ate donkey in China. Okay, we did. But when I was in China with my daughter, we were at this Chinese restaurant, very nice place. It was lovely, overlooking a lake. And we opened up the menu. There was camel hump on the menu. And I'm like, camel hump. I'm like, I just got to try it. Only for the reason I wanted to say, so how's your camel hump? It wasn't all that good. I wouldn't do camel hump twice. It was kind of bland. But anyway, maybe it was a limp camel hump. Maybe that was the problem. If it had Botox in it, maybe it would have been a delicious camel hump. but oh God, why are there so many camel humps in my life? That's kind of weird. Anyway, so if you're still here, please do remember to subscribe to the channel. That supports me tremendously. Please do share. That helps bring people in to support the channel. And also just share with something fun for your friends. And also like the video. Appreciate that. And if you want to participate in these hangouts, I do them once a week. And I've got 2 times now. I've got a 7 o'clock, somewhere 7 to 7:30 time in the middle of the week, and then also a 4 o'clock approximate time the next week, because I got people from the UK here who are tired of trying to stay awake for my shows at 12 and 1 in the morning. So Annie says, firm lumps are best. Perhaps you are correct. So anyway, I'm glad you're all here today. And I had fun, because I don't think I've laughed that hard in a long time. So thanks a lot, Annie, for the limp hump joke. That was great. And I will see you guys soon. Bye.